Now, interesting things will never cease to happen in Africa as long as we still have leaders who are drunk onto power. There are stories that have been running for the last couple of days, but before we proceed, hit the subscription button so that you do not miss any single video, update, or a live event. We have been discussing the US African Summit. Over 49 African heads of state were present, but throughout the entire event, we had a number of interesting things that transpired. Of course, disappointing, others surprising, others were tragedy, involving a number of dictators, criminals, thugs, political vampires, economic vultures that were present in the event or in the summit that I explained to you that it had no single clear agenda. The so-called heads of state had gone to serve their personal interests, where USA was also lecturing them on her interests and also the business in Africa. But one of the most interesting tragedy, event, activity that transpired was where one Yoweri Museveni, a dictator from Uganda, was being hunted by the Ugandan community in the US. You see, these so-called leaders, they always claim to be popular in their respective countries, but also even to be popular beyond the boundaries of those countries. They organize elections regularly. They rig these elections, though they claim to have won those particular elections with over a margin of 80%, 90%, 95%, which is an indicator that they are still popular, yet in actual sense, in reality, they are not. Because you see, when you organize a particular election, you claim to have won that particular election with over 80%. That is a clear indicator that you're still popular. But in reality, they have rigged the election, so they are no longer popular. That is why they are being hunted within their countries, but also even when they go beyond the boundaries of their countries, they get hunted. It happened in Paris, whereby Paul Biya, 89 years of age, he has been in power for close to 4 decades. From Cameroon, he was also being hunted by Cameroonians in France. Guess what? He had gone to attend a public event. They organized a 40-year anniversary. He was celebrating 40 years being in power. 40 years. 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And our friends from Cameroon who are living in France could not withstand this. They couldn't bear, so they had to attack him. So these footages are so disturbing, but also they help us to expose the identity, the nature of the so-called leaders that we are dealing with in Africa. And I've been saying this, that the moment you become unpopular outside, time is going to come. You'll be hunted in your respective country, but also get hunted when you go beyond the boundaries of your respective countries. Because you see, you go in an event, you go to attend a particular summit where you claim that you're representing the interests of your country, but again, you cannot interface with the community that is coming from your country to engage them on a number of events, to give accountability on the nature of leadership that you've provided. So that is Yoweri Museveni. Because you see, other leaders like the one of Egypt, he was welcomed by the Egyptians who are living in America. They waited for him on the street. They welcomed him and engaged the Egypt community that is living in America. The same happened when President William Ruto met the Kenyan community that is residing in America. He engaged them on a number of issues, and then he laid a way forward concerning his foreign leadership. But you see, there's one Yoweri Museveni that was being hunted by the Ugandan community to ensure that he addresses them. He gives accountability in line with all the atrocities, the abductions that have transpired in Uganda for a couple of days. This is what happened.
Who says press people are the only one that is in being brought out because these people thought that they are not part of the Museveni team. She had went there to ask him questions, so they brought police to send him out.
Say that she's me. They're all coming up to me. No, don't manhandle me. Okay?
Get out.
Okay, I want a reason why I'm taken out. Okay? If someone wants to speak to me respectfully. Explain why you're dragging me out. Nobody's tag was scanned. They just took it out from me. They took it out from me. I'm a Ugandan. Okay? This is a democratic country. It's a democratic country. All the police on me. You manhandle me. This is not Uganda where you kill people, where you abduct people. It's not Uganda, okay? No, don't talk about it. No, don't drag me. Don't drag me. You wanted that attention. You are getting it. You are getting it. I was sitting like any other guest, okay? They're all after me, okay? Why are they after me? Where do you scan that shit? It doesn't have a URL code. It doesn't have a URL code. Okay? He's lying.
Dictator, you Mr. Biden, from Uganda, a guy who tortures Ugandans, he kills Ugandans, and now these people are stopping us from attending the conference where we ask him questions. And you bring this police here to protect the dictator. We know he's sleeping up there. He's sleeping up there on floor 6. We are moving outside. Yes, we are. We are moving outside. But you and your boss, Mr. Biden, should wake up and tell him that we are not made for this as Ugandans. We are not made to be killed. We are not made to be killed by a Ugandan president who was never elected. He has been killing. I was shot on my head. I am a journalist. I was shot on my head by that guy. On my head, while covering the elections. On my head, while covering elections, 2021 elections. No, you're moving us out because you want a dictator to enjoy the fancy life of this country. USA claims to be a democratic. Biden is a Democrat. You understand? Biden is a Democrat. You keep on inviting Museveni here, a murderer. A murderer. It's your boss. It's not you, but your boss, Biden. You're protecting him. You don't want us to talk to him. However, we are going to expose him and by the hypocrisy.
His servants, and they're throwing us out.
Because she entered, she wanted to ask him questions. She was registered.
Right here, this one right here. 37 years in power. How is that?
Killing people, murdering people. Robert Chagulani's supporters are being murdered every day, abducted by the state itself. You keep on taking us out. The guy is here on Pro 6.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, this is what happens the moment you create an environment that does not provide equal rights for us all. The moment you create a system that is going to work for a few, politically, economically, socially, and others are going to become vulnerable to the state impunity. Others are going to become beggars. You create a system of masters and beggars within your respective countries. This is what transpires when you're within your country, but even when you go beyond the boundaries of your countries. Very interesting, but at the same time, disgracing. That is Africa for you. You see? That is Africa for you. So, the demonstrations in Washington, D.C. commenced the day before Museveni set a foot in the U.S. It was ahead of the U.S. African Leaders Summit, the one I told you that it had no single clear agenda other than You see dictators sitting with their fellow masters due to mental slavery to discuss how they can demarcate Africa, how US can continue its dominance on the African continent, how they can loot, steal the natural resources of different African countries. So our Ugandan community that is staying in the US, they staged a demonstration before Museveni stepped a foot in the US. So the demonstration held out pictures of some of the peoples that are believed to be missing for the last 2 years, because there have been numerous abductions, there have been numerous tortures. As we talk right now, there are so many innocent civilians that are rotting in jail, that are rotting in prisons, but are also being tortured. Others have lost their lives. So in the petition to both the White House and the US Secretary of State, that is Anthony Blinken, the community was very clear that Mr. Museveni's presence in Washington did not sit well with them. They cited, among others, the abuse of human rights, torture, cruel treatment of civilians, and also the opposition members in Uganda. And this is what is happening in Uganda right now. So what they did, a day before, they reiterated their demand for freedom of speech and press in Uganda, adding that the illegal arrest and the current imprisonment of MPs, that is none other than Segirinya Mohammed and Sewanyana, for a duration of more than 1 year without trial, was illegal. So what they did, they staged a demo before, but even when Museveni arrived in the US, they couldn't withstand it, they couldn't bear with it. Few individuals demanded that they must meet him so that he can account for all these atrocities, for the crimes against humanity that he has been committing in Uganda, he has been committing in East Africa, but he also has been committing in Central African Republic. Because you see, and most of the leaders from Africa, you claim to be still popular, but again, when you're in your respective countries, you invest a lot of resources in terms of securing your life, because you feel insecure where you claim to be popular. You invest in a lot of resources in terms of human resources, in terms of financial resources, in terms of military arms. You always move with a great number of military personnel, security personnel, motorcades that are having a number of vehicles simply because you want to guard your life. But when you go beyond the boundaries of your countries, you've been seeing them, some of them moving on streets of New York with 2-3 individuals. You've seen them being packed in one single bus in the street of London. So they feel much safe and secure when they're in some countries that claim to be advanced in terms of democracy, in terms of security, in terms of economy. They claim to be secure. But again, when they come back to their respective countries, the moment they step a foot on the land, on the continent of Africa, that is when they become insecure. You will see a number of security personnel, you will see a number of countless motorcades moving along the streets simply because they are no longer popular in these countries. And it has been happening. This is Paul Biya, a dictator from Cameroon. An angry mob recently attacked Paul Biya in Paris. I told you he had gone to celebrate 40-year anniversary as the president in Cameroon. The person that you're seeing on your screen. So, because he's one of the dictators on the African continent that have caused havoc, that have caused conflicts, crisis in Cameroon, the Cameroonian community in Paris, or those in France, they couldn't withstand this. They couldn't bear with it. So they staged a demo. They staged the demo at the venue where they had organized this event. So Paul Biya and many of his supporters were mugged in Paris. In one of the videos that has been circulating on social media, a very interesting one, the incident happened some time back. I think it was 2 months back, whereby Biya was in Paris. He had gone to celebrate his 40 years anniversary as the President of Cameroon. 80 years of age, 89 years of age. He has been in power since 1982 up to date. Is the President of Cameroon, presiding over looting, presiding over corruption, committing crimes against humanity. So the moment he stepped in Paris, the Cameroonian community in Paris staged a demonstration, and this is what transpired.
William! Sortez! Voilà! Sortez! 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 Le RDPC ne fait rien en diaspora!
Vous pouvez faire votre fête.
Venez! 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 Venez!
Voilà.
Venez! Venez! Zéro fête du RDPC en diaspora! Zéro fête du RDPC en diaspora! 40 ans de quoi? 40 ans de quoi? Villageois du quoi? Donne-moi les œufs! Donne les œufs! Donne-nous les œufs! Les œufs! Les œufs!
Personne ne parle d'ici.
Zéro fête! Zéro fête! 40 ans! 40 ans de meurtre! 40 ans de massacre! On ne fête, vous ne fêtez rien! Les œufs! Les œufs, les gars, les œufs! Les œufs! La farine, les œufs! Hein? Ok. C'est un paquet seulement. Ok, c'est bon. Le sang là fait le travail dedans. On a versé 4 litres de sang dedans. Le sang a fait le boulot. Allons. Allons. Zéro fête. 40 ans de Biya. 40 ans de meurtre. 40 ans de meurtre. 40 ans de meurtre. 40 ans. 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 40 ans de meurtre. 40 ans de meurtre. Biya fait 40 ans. Tente de lancer ta maman.
Tu blesses quelqu'un de pas loin.
Tente. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that is Africa for you. This is how African leaders can be disgracing, disgusting. Because you see, the events that you're seeing on your screen, the mob that you're seeing on your screen, they even never wanted him to leave the venue. Because most of them are victims of the impunity that has been caused by Paul Biya in Cameroon. These people that you're seeing, part of the mob, some of them are orphans, others are widows, others are widowers, their parents, their family members have been eliminated by the regime. Therefore, they staged this demo, they staged this attack, they staged this protest. They never wanted Biya to leave that venue. They wanted him dead. Because you cannot cause havoc. You cannot sink your country into economic crisis, political instability. You leave your country, you come to Paris, that you've come to celebrate 40 years in power. How can it even be? Why don't you organize it in your country? The person I'm talking about, he is 89 years of age. Physically unstable, mentally unfit to preside over national affairs, but he's the one in charge. And you think we can progress? As I talk right now, he's fighting with the natural factors of life. At 89 years of age, 90 years of age, what do you expect from him? And you think he can deliver? He's fighting with his life, but you think he can preside over the national matters and the country moves on? With the poor systems, with state institutions being captured by the state, with non-state institutions also being part and parcel of the institution that the state has captured, and they are no longer serving the interests of the citizens, but also serving the wicked, the brutal, the greedy interests of the state. That is video number 2. The other one, the other interesting one, is from Ethiopia.
You are a killers. You guys are killer. Ethiopian killers here. You kill my dad. አንተ ገዳይ ልትገድል ለትግራይ ህዝብ ብር ልታገኝ መስሎሃል? አታገኝም። አንተ ገዳይ ዞር በል፣ እንዳትነካኝ ገዳይ killers. Ethiopian, those are Ethiopian killers. They kill so many Tigrayan people. You're a killer. You have blood in your hand. You have Tigray blood in your hand. You too. ገዳዮች ገና የልጅ ልጆቻችሁ ታሪክ የሰራችሁት ትገኛለህ። አንተ ሌባ ባለጌዎች ገዳዮች killer. You're a killer. He's a killer. You're a killer. Don't touch me. አንተ ገዳይ አንተ ሌባ ገዳይ የትግራይ ህዝብ ጨረሳችሁት። እናንተ ሌቦች፣ እናንተ ገዳዮች የልጅ ልጆቻችሁን አትኖሯትም ዓለም ውስጥ። ዞር በል። Don't touch me. You are a killer. Leba, killer, genocider. You have blood in your hand. You have Tigray blood in your hand. He's a killer. You are a killer. You have blood in your hand. Ante ገዳይ, ante leba, የለም አታገኟትም ብር። ሌባ ገዳይ፣ ante ገዳይ ሌባ. He's a killer. Look at him. He's a killer. He's Ethiopian killer. He killed so many people in Tigray. ante ገዳይ ሌባ አታገኝም ብር፣ አታገኝም. Killers. Ethiopian killers, they are the genociders. He's a genocider. He's a killer. He's Ethiopian killer. He's a genocider. He kills so many Tigrayan people. You are genocider.
I hope you can witness
genocider.
this.
Don't touch me.
You can witness this very well.
Don't touch me. You are a killer. You Ethiopian killers. They kill so many Tigrayan people. They are genociders. You have blood on your hand. Killers. They kill so many our people. They kill my dad. Okay. Don't touch me. I have rights.
I have that badge though.
Yes, sir. But I didn't touch them. They kill my father. You can have it. They kill my father. They are genociders. They are Tigrayan genociders.
Okay.
They have blood in their hands. They kill my father.
Okay.
They are genociders. Those Ethiopian people are killers.
Please.
They should fund them money.
Come on. I know.
World Bank, they're gonna fund money to Ethiopia. They're gonna kill our people. They are a killer. Kill my dad. They kill so many people. They have blood in their hands.
Just walk with me, please. Okay?
They are killers.
Okay,
they are killers. They have blood on their hand. I am from Tigray.
Okay.
They kill my father. Those people are killers.
Come on, please
They
come
are
with us.
killers.
Come on, it's okay. Bill, can you walk with me?
Killers.
Come on.
I don't touch them. I have
No,
right
I understand.
to make a video.
Yes,
they are killers.
No, you have every right. It's okay.
I'm from Tigray.
I
There
know.
is genocide. They are genocide makers. Those people.
I know.
They
I
just
know.
came to fund money
I know.
to kill people.
We got to go out this way. Come on.
They are killers.
I understand.
Now, these challenges are cutting across the entire continent. You see, most of the countries in Africa are stuck with leaders who are drunk onto power, who are angry for power, who can do anything as long as they stay in power. They can reach an extent of even killing innocent citizens at the expense of staying in power. And that is where we are today. So these challenges can only be addressed by Africans. I still insist. Those who still think that the Western forces, the Western elements are going to come and pioneer a campaign to crack down dictators in Africa, it is a typical lie. That they are going to streamline, they are going to find a lasting solutions for all the problems that we are stuck in today. Poverty, hunger, political instability. Because I've always been telling you, they are part and parcel of these problems. That is why you can find African leaders, they leave Africa, they are all summoned to go to America, that they are going to attend a summit that has no single clear agenda as far as the interest of Africans is concerned. Engage with the Americans. America lectures them on its own interests in Africa, and they think out of this summit they are going to find a lasting solution for all the problems that we are facing in Africa. That is a typical lie. Not knowing America is part of the problem, the leaders themselves are part of the problem that we are facing as a continent today, and you think that in such a meeting, in such a summit, that you can resolve or you can identify the solutions that are going to be guiding us throughout the next 10, 20, 30 years. That is a typical lie. Therefore, subscribe, like, share as we try to change our mindset and also crack down the mental slavery that is in most of the African people across the continent. Thank you very much.